tall you're bending down. Are you sure you aren't going to break a hip?
My hips are actually in better shape than your hips. I don't know. Maybe it's because I exercise and you don't.
There's not a magical thing in the birth canal. You're like, oh, now as a human being.
Who's taking care of your kids right now?
Excuse me, are you trying to shame a working mother
Not
of
at
four?
all. But you weren't telling
Who's
us.
taking care of my kids right now? What an anti-feminist statement to make. In fact, I have an amazing spouse who
Anyone
homeschools
who's
my children.
pro-choice,
But if
welcome
my
outside.
children were in daycare right now, who are you to tell me that I'm not a good mother?
I'm not telling you you're not a good mother.
Oh, you just asked who are taking care of my children. Would you ask a man that? Would you have asked a man that? If a man was standing here, would you have said, who's at home taking care of your kids? No, you wouldn't. You asked me that because I was a woman. That's anti-feminist. And that's when I lose my Sorry. I'll calm down.
Why did she think she could drop that rubbish and walk away? Who gave her the right to stand there and question her motherhood? She should have stood and defended her sexist statement if she knew she was right.
I know throughout your talk you're speaking of making abortion illegal, and I just want to know, what about basic female autonomy and our choice to choose these certain things?
Yeah. So as pro-lifers, we are pro-choice in many things, right? We believe she has the choice to choose what healthcare provider she goes to, what college degree she gets, what college she goes to if she wants to go to college, what spouse, what anything she wants, right? But your autonomy, your ability to do whatever you want with your body stops when it harms someone else's body. This is why in hospitals, you can't smoke within so many feet of the entrance. Why can't someone go into the pulmonary ward and start smoking up? Because their right to ingest harmful chemicals that are going to probably give them lung cancer, their right to do whatever the hell they want with their body stops when it hurts my child. Because it hurts someone else's body. And that's the entire premise of the pro-life movement. That we can say this is all about bodily autonomy, but the question is what body we're talking about, because abortion deals with two bodies.
Yes, it does make sense. I just disagree.
So you said you disagree that it's not a human, it's a human being. Like, you agree, right, that at the moment of conception, a human being is created.
Wait, what?
Do you agree that when sperm and egg unite, the moment of conception, fertilization,
it's a collection
that
of cells
unique
to create a
human,
human being, yeah.
is that collection of cells a unique human being?
It's a collection of cells to start creating a fetus, which grows into an embryo, which grows into a human being. Yes, I agree with that.
Oh, you just denied science.
I didn't deny science.
Because embryo, zygote, fetus, infant, toddler, adolescent, those aren't things we came from. They were people, parts, that's who we are. That's a stage of our development. I didn't come from an embryo. I didn't come from a fetus. I once was one because that's a natural stage of human development. So, do you think that the children that are apprehended at the border that are in government, U.S. government care, whether it's a U.S. government agency or if it's a Catholic relief agency that's being contracted by the government, do you think like babies who are going to die should be resuscitated and be given care?
Yes.
Do you believe that like a baby who's born alive during an abortion in a Planned Parenthood should get care?
No.
She acknowledges that the argument makes sense, but because she just wants to save face and act like she actually knows what she is talking about, she still disagrees. At least disagree when you have an argument, not when you are standing there saying absolutely nothing real.
Hello, my name is Quentin Merritt. I'm a mathematician and a physicist here, a double major, and I also just won the most prestigious award in the country to pursue research at any institution I want, the National Science Foundation Graduate Research Fellowship. So I think I'm pretty, qualified to say that most of what you're saying is based on like old data. But my question to you, and so I want you all to like realize that.
Last month, but sure.
For example, gender identity disorder, that's the DSM-4, bro. We use the DSM-5 now for psychologists to be able to talk about...
I literally cited the DSM-5 in the speech, and it's called gender dysphoria, which is the term that I use throughout the speech, not gender identity disorder.
You sound like a bozo, bro. And you get no and you can't even make your wife wet, bro, so what's good?
So, let me just say, the nice thing about having
real
several
question-
small
the
children,
real
I don't
question
feel
is,
the necessity to have my
if
masculinity
we're using
challenged
a
by someone
Western
like you.
colonial idea of gender, then why should it apply? If we're using, because the gender binary is a Western colonialist framework of gender.
You're
you
right.
know?
Men and women don't exist in any other culture.
No.
In any.
No.
You're
Think
right.
about Native American.
Nailed it.
Third gender people. I'm not saying that. Third gender people exist in Native American societies, Western African societies, like Southern Native American societies, like Mexico. So in other places that are not white dominated,
And they
like
are
the United States or
incorrect.
Europe, and so you're
I'm
saying
saying
white,
they're biologically
so non-white
incorrect.
people. I'm a mathematician and a physicist. You cannot
So
tell
what
me.
So I have a question.
And also, you're not a biologist.
So I have a question.
I'm 20.
As a mathematician and a physicist, what in the hell do you know about human biology?
And you got
that
your
allows
law
you to
degree from
deny it?
Harvard. What do you know about biology? You got your law degree from Harvard.
And frankly, I would ask another question. If your logic is so flawed as a mathematician and a physicist, I would suggest that whichever institution gave you an award, revoke it immediately.
Are we really going to believe that this kid is everything he says he is? I bet that this was just a prank and there is a camera somewhere, because I refuse to believe that someone that sounds this dumb was given any form of award.
I'm saying, like, if someone is stealing something because they have no money
Oh,
and there's
so
no
that's
jobs.
so interesting. So you think most crimes are crimes of necessity in the black community?
I'm not saying most.
So like gangbanging is like a crime of necessity?
That I literally never said that. I'm saying,
But
like,
you're making an argument of crimes of necessity. Like they're so
I'm-
hungry they can't handle it.
I'm talking about, like, crime that has to do with, like, getting food, getting stuff that you need to live.
Right, but we have food stamps for anyone that needs it. So that doesn't exist. We have subsidized housing for anyone that needs it. So that doesn't exist. We have free health care for any poor person that wants it, called Medicaid. That doesn't exist. We also have welfare, cash, for anyone that wants it. So that doesn't exist. So what is it they're missing that they need to go? Sorry about that.
Well, the food, like, a lot of food stamps might not cover all of what they need, and also housing is, like, there's not unlimited housing. A lot of people who are unhoused have to, like, go to shelters, and then they get kicked out of shelters because there's a mandatory stay limit. So it's not like you
but
just get
it's not
a house.
It's not a stuff thing, though, right? It's like if you need stuff, there's also tons of charities out there that can provide assistance. Churches, you will not go hungry in this country. You will not starve in this country.
Yes, you will. There's, like,
No, we have an
you've been on
obesity
State
problem.
Street.
We have an obesity problem, not a starvation problem in this country.
What are you talking
In
about?
State Street, if any one of those people went to the local Episcopalian church or Methodist church, they will get fed. I guarantee it. If they go to a local food shelter, they will get fed.
Okay, but I'm talking. Okay, housing.
For housing. If we have Section 8 subsidized housing in this country, right? If you want to have a roof over your head, you can have a roof over your head.
with, like, thousands of rules, and you can't
Yes,
do
of
any.
course, yes. I mean,
Like-
it's not ideal, but the point is this. So let's just go back to the crime and necessity, right?
Mhm.
So why do people commit crimes?
I'm not saying why all people commit crimes. I'm saying there are people who commit crimes because they have no other choice.
Got it. So why is it that other people that are as poor as they are in separate racial groups don't commit crimes at the same rates? For example, blacks are 13% of the population and they commit over 50% of the crimes. Why is that?
Black people, I would say, not blacks.
Okay,
but
it's not. I could say whites and you wouldn't care. So
Anyway,
hold on. I right? I can say Hispanics, you wouldn't care. So don't
I think
police
I might,
my language.
But whatever. I'm not policing your language. I'm just saying I would say black
Fair
people.
enough, but the insinuation is that I'm being racist. But that's fine.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
your opinion.
Yeah, but so black Americans are 13% of the population and commit anywhere between 50 to 56% of murders, crimes, carjackings. Why is that?
Well, what percentage of the white population is living in the same level of poverty?
Got it. So there's twice as many white Americans in poverty as black Americans. Not the same percentage, but still, if you look at white Americans in poverty, they commit far less crimes than black Americans in poverty. Why is that?
Maybe it's because when you're in a store, like, they follow black people and they don't follow white people.
What about murder?
Rural?
No, but why is it that, like, just saying murder, why is it that black people commit so many more
white people
murders?
live in rural
Like, that's not, you're being followed in a store and you commit more murders?
Yeah.
You're making the role, or I'll get to you in a sec, but
Okay,
it's not,
anyway.
it's not a good argument. But let me just go back to one thing you said. Systemic
Whatever, you're
racism,
good.
right? So the idea of systemic is that it's
Yeah.
within our laws.
Mhm.
There are some black Americans here listening. What can you as a white American do that the black American cannot do?
Let's see. I could go into a store and not get followed. The police could not track me down on when I'm driving. I'm less likely to get shot and killed while I'm driving.
She thinks she is making a whole lot of sense by including black people in her argument, but little does she know that they find everything she's saying offensive. And did black people ever tell her that they needed a spokesperson?
My question is so you're obviously a professional political pundit. You've had years of training, you have all this money worth of resources behind you. You have a PR team, you got security here. So why do you, as a professional pundit, think it's fair to come to college campuses and debate college freshmen? Doesn't that seem kind of unfair to you?
Well, hold on. I mean, let's stop talking down to college kids. I'm talking to voters, right? This audience will determine the future of America.
Well, yeah, okay.
And as you could see with my first dialogue, I'm not here to be adversarial. We disagreed. I let him have his points in. And as far as the fair standpoint, I have no notes. You can go bring a professor. Why don't you go bring a professor and bring him up to the mic?
Okay, well, okay.
Why don't you go find 5 professors that have PhDs? I didn't go to college. That's a fair fight, right? By the way, you guys are in college. I graduated high school.
Okay. I mean, you come here, you say this is not adversarial, but I mean, on the text message you sent out, it says, come to the debate. You have this sign that says, prove me wrong. It seems like you want this, debate to happen so you can put it on YouTube and upload a clip of you dunking on the libs or whatever, dude. It seems like a grift is what it seems like to me.
Okay, but hold on a second. Don't you agree that more speech, not less speech, is better for a free society?
Sure, I agree with that. Yeah. But I would agree that on this basis, it just seems like it's disparate levels of resources. You know what I mean? It doesn't seem to me. It seems kind of disingenuous in you coming here because it seems like you don't really want to have this debate. You just want to dunk on people, bro.
Well, let me see. I mean, so you're trying to play into my intentions though. So why am I here? I'm here to support our Turning Point chapter. I'm here to help Tim Sheehy to defeat Jon Tester, as I said, which there's a lot of support for that. And we're going to have dialogue and disagreement. And yes, I've been doing this for quite a while, but you could also go phone a friend. Go bring 10 libs. You can all have your phones, and you could debate me, and I'll have no notes.
Is this guy going to debate or just play the older man is bullying younger guy card? Imagine being a whole college student and still getting schooled by someone who didn't even go to college.
All right, I'll make an exception, but usually I want students, unless you're a student.
I am a student.
All right, okay.
Thank you. In fact, that's why I want to talk to you. My name is Carolyn. I went back to school later on in life. I am getting my BA. I carry a 4.0 grade point average. I am on the presidential list and the dean's list every semester. Here's my issue. I chose something in my life I didn't like. I wanted to be a teacher my whole life. Everybody kept telling me, you're great with kids, go be a teacher. So I did. I went to college. I was excited about being a teacher. It's been my dream for 40 years. My second semester, I'm carrying an A average, and my teacher writes me an email and asks me what my pronouns were. I'm first year Gen X. I don't have a pronoun. Let me tell you what I do have. I have a noun, and it's my name. And that's the only English language I can actually say I have. But I was cool, and I was really kind. Excuse my language, but y'all are adults here, right? Okay, good. So, excuse my language, but you know what? I am pissed off because when I said to her, I'm sorry, I don't claim a pronoun, I got failed. I got failed in 3 of her courses. And my grade point average went from a 4.0 down to a 2.5 because I didn't carry a pronoun. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? I have an incredible grade point average. I'm a smart woman. I've been working in the workforce for 40 years, and my generation, and if y'all don't understand, invented the internet, for Christ's sakes, and we're not.
This woman needs to sue that teacher in that school for discrimination. Imagine getting failed because you choose to go by what you are, your name, When did announcing pronouns wherever we go become a normal thing?
Okay, so one thing I want to start off with is, why does your opinion trump over any other people's opinion?
Right. So do you believe that there is a truth out there?
Everything is subjective, but there is a right or wrong morally, especially when you're in a cultured society that is based off a set of standards and norms that we act on and we act as.
So everything is subjective. So is it objectively true you and I are having a conversation right now?
Yes.
So that's not subjective then. So not everything is subjective.
So why do you believe morals?
Right? So something is objective.
Yes, but why do you believe your subjective
I'm
opinion
gonna get
trumps
there.
over other people's opinion?
Well, let me ask you another question. I'll tell you. I will
no,
answer.
please don't interrupt me.
Well,
You can no. Let me finish my sentence. I do not want to hear it. You think that your opinion is over other people's opinions. You think you were right subjectively.
Okay.
What is right or wrong?
Okay. Is murder wrong?
Yes, of course.
Well, then abortion should
Not
be
in
illegal.
every case.
Answer
What
to question.
what constitutes a human? What is a human?
Deoxyribonucleic acid and conception.
But to me, a
forming
human
it.
would be someone with a consciousness who is alive in this world.
Well,
To
guess
you,
what? You're wrong. So
but
that's
no,
fine.
you're wrong because I think that's right and you think that's
Prove
right.
me. Prove it wrong.
What constitutes a human being? What is the
So
definition
if
of a
you take
human
DNA
being?
and
The creation of DNA that will never exist again, and a soul goes into that moment. I don't expect you guys.
What's a soul?
A soul?
What's a soul?
What is a soul?
What is a soul?
The eternal, indistinguishable, let's just say, non-visible being of your existence.
I don't believe that. I don't
Well,
believe anything
I'm
is
sorry-
eternal.
I'm sorry you don't believe it.
That does not make yours okay.
Yeah, you
Well, hold on a
your opinion
second.
isn't like
Here's the
over
thing.
mine.
At some point, somebody's truth has to win. Because guess what? Your truth doesn't matter.
But
That's
guess
still
what?
a truth
You've had
claim.
your truth in this country for the past thousands of decades. You're
Thousands of decades.
Not thousands. Whatever. That's a little embarrassing. But like your truth has been the narrative of this country forever.
Has
and
it?
you think
Roe
yes,
versus
the
Wade
white
just
straight
got
male truth-
repealed. Abortion was legal in this country for 40 years.
And before the 40 years, what was
And
it?
crime dropped
Thankfully illegal in most
40%
states.
after it
And
went.
on top of that, do you
Oh
not
wait, hold
think-
on. Do you think abortion lowers crime rates?
Crime dropped 40% after abortion became legal.
Why is that the case?
It's called a statistic.
Who has the most abortions in America?
Woman.
Black people. Is that so? Are you trying to say the termination of blacks in the womb lower crime? That's a very racist argument.
That is not a
Okay.
You know blacks have 45% of the
Props to Charlie for being so patient with these kids, because listening to them yap and whine about things they know nothing about is really exhausting. Their colleges are not preparing them for life outside school, and it shows.
Get the fuck out of my face now!
Ooh, that was very rude of you.
Get the fuck out of my face!
Do you want to go to jail? Sir, ma'am, I don't really know what to call you.
You're done, man.
I'm done.
Police, you just insulted me.
That's most definitely a man shouting. I mean, how can you look at all of that and still call him a she? These people are delusional and want us to subscribe to their delusions.
I think you're helping Democrats.
I mean, listen, now we gotta talk because, now we gotta talk.
Get the out of my face now!
Ooh, that was very rude of you.
Get the out of my face!
Do you want to go to jail? Sir, ma'am, I don't really know what to call you.
You're done, man.
I'm done.
Police, you just insulted me.
Well, listen here, pal. You are gonna go to jail.
And I could tell the police to get you.
I'm vegan, so don't say that.
You really get the out of my way right now.
Okay, yeah, we'll do that.
You do not have a release. I will sue you.
You're gonna sue him? Don't sue him, man, because we're trying to just...
You do not have a release. If you post this, I will destroy you. I will destroy you.
Just keep going on. We love it.
Bro was ready to throw hands. Funny how when they get angry, they always revert back to default settings.
So let's say you own a pencil factory, I'm a worker in that pencil factory. You can have all the machinery, you can buy all the raw materials you want, but without me, and presumably many others like me, to assemble the pencils, all you would have is a pile of wood, yellow paint, graphite, rubber, and aluminum.
Okay.
That would be worth, and that is worth less than the pencil when you try and sell it. And yet, all of that value added by labor, apart from the wages that you give me, which if we're being honest, there is a major power imbalance in our ability to negotiate that.
If all that putting the pencil together requires is basic use of your prefrontal cortex, then yes, your labor is alienable at lower rates than if you are a doctor. That's not the fault of the person who owns the machinery.
But if you didn't have workers like me and your pencil factory, and you were just one man.
But I do. I have millions of people who are willing to do that voluntarily for me.
If you were just one person trying to assemble pencils, you're not going to get very far. You need workers. Capital needs labor infinitely more than labor needs capital. That's why you have worker cooperatives where the workers are the
fundamentally disagree on the distinction between capital and labor. Capital is just a term for money. If you're talking about money, money does not grow from the ground. Money only has value because it was traded for labor at one point or the products of labor. So if I take my money and I buy machinery, I have invested my labor in doing that because I didn't get the money from nowhere. Even if I got it from my parents didn't get the money from nowhere. The people who built the machines required me to trade something of value to them in order for me to obtain the machines. The people who invented the machines required people to pay them in order to get the patent to that machine so they could build the machine. The problem that I'm seeing in what you're saying is you have still failed. If what you're talking about is a system of voluntarism, you still have not named any area in which we disagree, and yet you're telling me that you're a socialist and I'm a free marketer. So one of us has got this wildly wrong, and I'm pretty sure it's not me.
The differentiation I draw, and I'm not alone in this, I'm not one person trying to redefine anything. The differentiation I and many others like me draw between socialism and capitalism is that under capitalism, when you as the owner of the factory, you give me a wage. The wage could be $7.25, it could be $15, it could be whatever an hour, right? But you give me a wage. All the additional profit above the made from selling the pencils or whatever good you produce above what is reinvested into the company ultimately goes to you or the investors, those who own shares in the means of production.
Right.
Under socialism, those people are the workers, and the example I give, again, is cooperative enterprise.
No, those are the people who are investing the risk. So if they carry the risk, then they get the benefit. The owner of the factory carries the risk, therefore he gets the benefit. The workers in the company you mentioned, if that company were to go bankrupt, they would carry the risk as well as the benefit. If the company goes bankrupt, and this guy has to pay off all of his debts, the worker may lose his job, but he's not the one who's going to incur the debt of having gone bankrupt. If you incur risk, then you're the one who pays the downside. The worker does not pay the downside. Okay, it is the investor who pays the downside, who invested in all the machinery, who sunk millions of dollars into making your labor productive. Because guess what? Your labor is without that machinery. Gunk. Nothing. You don't have a pencil to put together, you don't got the wood, you don't got the paint, you don't got the rubber, you don't got the metal, you got nothing. Right? You're sitting there, standing outside, twiddling your thumbs. It required somebody to invest. Who do you think put more in? The guy who spent millions of dollars buying all the machinery, leasing the place, making sure there was a management structure, doing the LLC formation, making sure all the tax code was in compliance, or you standing outside because you can stick a piece of graphite into a piece of wood? Now we're done.
This guy has definitely never worked a day in his life. That's why he can stand here and talk about these things. Let's see if he goes out and gives out all of his hard-earned money to everyone he sees on the streets when he starts earning.
Talking points there, but you were taking Natasha.
I think it is true that masculinity is in crisis. I see that, men are becoming they're becoming less, I don't know how to explain it. They're losing their drive for things. They're losing their drive to pursue women. They're losing their drive to achieve goals and go out into the world and be things. And they're consuming, bad food. They're consuming porn. It's just things that aren't contributing to their growth. And I think, I don't know, we're in an era of, girls want all the power and all that stuff. I don't know if that intimidates men. I don't know if that's a contributor to this, but I think we are, men are becoming more feminine and becoming, they're slacking. We need to kick it up a notch.
Kirkland Andrew Tate, the guy that we reacted to. That's funny. Go ahead.
Honestly, I really don't give a rat if the male species is depleting. Okay.
What?
You guys have had your time to shine. If you guys want to get better, you guys can do that yourselves, but I'm not going to get you out of the slump. Sorry.
Okay.
Sorry, it's just I don't really care. That's on you guys. If you guys aren't working or not going to college, then I don't know how to fix that. I am. So I don't know why you aren't.
What do you think of men?
I love men, I love...
But didn't you just say you didn't care if all the men diminish?
Yeah, no, I don't. It doesn't affect me.
Do you have a brother?
No. I have a dad, though.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't really care. Like, like I just don't care about guys. You guys aren't really here for me. So.
What do you mean by that?
Like, I don't really need
Into the microphone.
So sorry. I don't really need a guy to like. I don't need a guy in my life. It's fun if I have one, but if I'm not gonna try and make you guys better, you guys can do that on yourselves. Like, does that make sense? I don't know.
It's kind of like what Cher said, if that makes any sense. It's like, I love men. Like, I think men are the coolest, but I don't need them to survive.
Yeah.
But like,
Actually,
I love men.
I have to come in on this. You do actually need men to survive. And here's why. Everything that you see around you was built and created and maintained by men.
Okay.
Everything. The infrastructure in this country, in every single country in the world, is built, created, and maintained by good, honest, hardworking men that just want to provide for their family.
Okay.
Everything. The roads you drive on, the buildings you live in, the restaurant, everything.
The dirty work.
If all men were to disappear, it would be chaos.
The first woman tries to make sense, but the moment the second one opens her mouth, it's just obvious why women like her never get to hold great positions, because if you are going to talk like that, then I'd rather you just shut up.
Over there,
asking what government
Is there any
policies
law
would
that
govern.
prevents you from doing something you want with your own body?
So I actually have two that kind of relate to bodily autonomy. But it was posed by you or by
Me.
who? It was by her.
Both of us. Yeah.
Okay, and
She
that's a
brought it up,
question.
and then I said Kamala asked that identical question.
And is that's a question that you have?
Yeah, I can't think of a
And-
single body or a
Well,
single law
circumcision
that
would
would
be
prevent
one.
you from doing what you want
So-
with your body.
Circumcision, but you actually feel.
So hold on.
I feel
But so
passionately that circumcision
is it
should be a choice
your
as well.
position that there is no way that a man lacks bodily autonomy?
I think if you wanted to do literally anything you want with your body, I don't think anyone in the government's stopping you. And if you can name one thing,
Interesting.
let me know,
I'll
because
give
I
you
would
two.
love to learn.
Yeah,
I
you
can't think
take-
of anything
I'll
in
give you
government.
two
No
sides.
one's
forcing
you
guys
So-
to get vasectomy.
Hold on.
The only thing I can think of is as an infant, you
Yeah.
being circumcised, and that is something
Yeah,
I
so-
wholeheartedly
You
am
can't
against as
unalive
well.
yourself either.
You
Hold
can't.
on.
You can't what?
You can't unalive
Well,
yourself.
okay, hold on.
I mean, but you can. You're not going to jail for it. You'll be dead.
Yeah, but it's illegal. Hang on. But it's the
You still
question.
can.
The question that you asked wasn't whether you could do something.
Oh, that's what I'm asking.
No,
like,
no,
actually
that's not
doing
what
it.
you're asking, because what you're actually
The
asking
government's
is,
not going to stop you from killing yourself.
okay, you
That's the
gotta
question.
not cut me off every time I try to talk.
Okay.
So, no, the question which you asked was, can you name a law which governs men's bodies that because that's what's happening to women. There's a law governing their bodies. Yes. There's a law that says you cannot unalive yourself.
A law
You're not-
strictly pertaining
Yes,
to men.
you're
though.
not allowed to do that.
Murder is murder, and if these women always have to argue about it, then they should all be jailed.
So for me, so I understand better,
Mm-hmm.
how many men are you speaking for?
Well, so general, just over 51% would be general, right?
Okay, and how did you get those numbers?
So I would look at this from the operation reports. What men report as preferences and don't
Where do
report
you
as
get those
preferences.
reports?
Well, you get them from a variety of places. Sometimes
Who's we?
you got to let me answer the question before you shotgun the next one.
Sure.
Look in your list of fallacies and read what Gish Gallop means.
I don't have Gish Gallop.
Oh, well, that's what you're doing.
Yeah,
When you
that-
shotgun so many questions
Okay.
that I can't actually answer them, you're Gish Galloping.
Okay.
You should write that fallacy down.
Sure, I will.
Take my course, by the way, on
I
fallacies.
would never take your course.
Take it on fallacies.
Never take your course.
So anyway, you get these things from a variety of places. One place that we get a lot of these things from is Pew Research. Pew Research dives in, especially to dating, quite a bit. And we can pull these things up. So what you would be looking for data like this, men don't give a shit about if women are working or not. You can look at the financial status of preferences that men are reporting in the financial brackets of what they prefer to date, and it turns out they don't really have a ton of preferences there, but women do. So we can kind of ascertain here in a general sense that men don't really care that much
I feel like
about
that's
women's financial.
kind of like a hasty generalization, no?
No, it's not a hasty generalization. No. Nope.
No? Okay.
That's a literal explanation for why it is I'm saying what I'm saying. It'd be the opposite of a hasty
But like
generalization.
A plus B doesn't equal C. Not to me, I don't think. Like that.
Well, no, this isn't Well, first of all, this isn't A plus B.
She obviously was too busy stuffing her face with food that she never listened a day in class. A whole folder full of notes and still couldn't make any logical point.
Completely disgrace the United States of America. America is a disgrace. And for us, oh my God, what a solution. You give us a fake, black, tackling hand of a candidate. With a vice president that's talking about he want to put tampons in the boys' bathroom. Ain't nobody do this. The number one function of a president is to be the commander-in-chief. You tell me anything about a Kamala Harris that look like she can protect this country after y'all just sat up here and they get her overridden with a bunch of illegal immigrants. Y'all just sat up here and put America's hands in all kind of wars. And you telling me a tampon man that ran from duty don't even know what his rule was. Kamala Harris, who don't know what race she is, gonna protect this country? The devil is a lie. Y'all better keep some signs down. Yes.
This woman has had enough, and she's not having any of these white liberals' bullshit. They need to pack it up. Their time is up, and the people know that.
You pro-life, or are you an abortion abolitionist?
Both. I mean, I would love to see abortion abolished, yeah. So.
What do you mean by both?
Well, being pro-life hopefully means that you're gonna...
like the pro-life group where...
No, the only difference I have with them is they want retroactive prison time for women that had abortions. And I disagree with them.
Okay.
I don't want to misstate their position, but I do believe that's correct.
Why do you think they shouldn't deserve prison time?
Well, I don't believe they deserve prison time.
Yeah, why?
Because it was legal while they did it. Now, I could see an argument for once it's illegal, then you have an abortion. Then I could come to an agreement. But if you do it while it's legal under the books, I think it's immoral to go back and put someone in prison.
But you just take the stance that if you do murder a child through an abortion, that you should receive punishment.
Yeah, I believe in most instances the women are the victims, and I disagree with them on this. The abortionists, the people that call themselves doctors, are the focus of my advocacy. Right. Because they know better.
All these people who can stand here and justify why a woman should kill a living human should all be put in jail alongside the women. Murder is a crime. Being an accomplice to murder is also a crime. Give them jail time.
A ladylike thing to do?
It's not necessarily ladylike, but it is highly rewarded.
Yeah, it's highly rewarded. So is being a person who works on an oil rig highly rewarded. Or hang on. Let me finish now. I just let you go through your whole spiel. Just like working at the world's deadliest catch. You don't see any women doing any of these or working as an ice trucker.
Yeah.
Here's why. Here's what's so interesting to your argument. Is not ladylike in any way, shape, or form. So your argument of, wait a second, they're told that X thing is not ladylike. It seems that women will ignore this isn't ladylike if it leads to a lot of money. If it leads to a bunch of money, suddenly it's not ladylike, we can put a big fucking X through it. So if we can put a big X through, doesn't seem very ladylike because we will compensate for that with money. Why the they go do that with other jobs? Is it because they can't?
No,
just say, Andrew, they can't.
Prostitution is prostitution, no matter how they try to package it, but they'll rather die than accept that. Because agreeing to that just means accepting that they are lazy women who prefer to lay on their backs or get on their knees to make money.
What is racism? Can you define to me what racism is?
Racism, well, I don't have the exact description as it is seen in like AP Style or like Wikipedia.
Can you just talk in the mic, please? I'm sorry, yeah.
Sorry. Racism is the lack of opportunities because of a race, the kind of like putting a person to a side.
So can you name a single example in the last 20 years where blacks were discriminated en masse, where they've been put aside? Can you give me a specific example?
You can simply talk about police brutality and mass incarceration.
What percentage of murders do black Americans commit in America?
So there you have a point of there is over-policing in black communities, specifically
murders.
Lower income communities.
Blacks commit murders because of police? I'm not talking about murders of police.
You're twisting my words.
So why do blacks commit so many murders?
They don't.
So they're 13% of the population, and they do 55% of the murders in America.
So
why?
You're not even looking at the background of it. There is over-policing in lower income communities.
There's under-policing in lower income communities. Number two, you're trying to say that over-policing, even if that existed, which it doesn't, leads to the fact that 13% of the U.S. population accounts for 55% of the murders?
there is a target on people of color's backs, okay? So when a white person sees a person of color,
Prove it.
there is studies, there is research.
No,
about
give me
this.
one
There is-
example. Give me one piece of evidence that there's a target on black people's back. In fact, I will submit to you there's the opposite. Black students can get into this college with lower test scores than white students. It's called affirmative action.
So now white people are the people who are struggling?
No, but
are they
I'm-
the marginalized ones?
I will go back to this, though. Can you name a specific example of what a black person cannot do that a white person can do? And be, again, specific. Anything.
I'm talking about so racism as a whole is not written in the law because that's not allowed anymore, but it still exists.
Then give me an example.
I just told you.
You
there
said
is-
police brutality is your example. Why do you think blacks encounter police so much? They commit more crimes.
There is
And not just like a little bit more.
policing.
No, there's
and there's also
under policing. And how could you say such a thing? We have defunded the police in Philadelphia, New York, Chicago, largely defunded it. We saw crime rates go up.
I also want you to take in mind that when a whole group there are opportunities to succeed economically. Let's say they don't get that higher paying job because they chose a white person instead of a black person. That makes
Show me an example
entire
of where that
community-
happened recently.
Wait, that makes an entire community more prone to being lower income, and then that is lower income communities are directly related to like more crime
So-
activity.
But let me ask you a question. What percentage of young blacks have both a mom and a dad raising them?
I cannot think of a percentage right now to give you.
25%. So only 1 out of 4 blacks in America have a mom and a dad around. Do you think that is a bigger issue to address than racism? Do you think more dads is a better solution, or tackling racism, which you say you can't even see in our laws?
How could dads be connected directly? Like
Oh,
having
dads are very connected.
And what about? Okay.
When
you're
you have a
talking
dad around,
about-
you're less likely to be violent as a male, less likely to go to
and
prison.
So explain to me why all the fathers are leaving.
Exactly. Why are they leaving?
Question for you.
Because
why are
black
they leaving?
women married
So-
the government and divorced the men that they were once
talk
with.
Talk about white people right now.
I'm sorry, I'm
Talk about
I'm
white
a
people.
realist, not a racist. Secondly, see,
about
you could
white people.
you could come up to the mic and call me a racist to my face, or are you an intellectual coward and want to shout it from 30 feet away?
She is just painful to listen to. At some point you think she's making sense, then she goes and says something that reminds you that beneath all of those baggy clothes she has on, there's no speck of logic in her.
Say about that. Well, tell me one sentence as to why Hitler was objectively wrong.
To me? I mean, to
No,
himself, he was right.
Of course he was. So there's something above you and above Hitler that we're comparing right to. What is that something?
Morality.
Where do we get that from?
How you come up, where you're from, your parents, your culture, I mean, the place you live. I mean, a lot of different
So
things.
are some moralities better or right, more right than wrong than other moralities?
I would say no, because it just comes down to you personally.
Okay, so the Taliban believes it's okay to rape 8-year-old boys called T-boys. Are they wrong?
To me, yes, they are wrong, but to themselves, they think it's right.
Is there... Are they objectively wrong?
Okay, what is an objective? What is the objective?
Well, hold on. Objectively, looking
According
outside,
to what?
right and wrong.
That comes down to me. And to me, they're wrong. But to them, they're right.
Wow.
I mean, what? That is how it is.
So let me ask you. So the Nazi guards at concentration camps, they thought they were doing right. Were they doing right?
No.
In your opinion or objectively?
In my opinion, no.
But what if they were to say we were doing right?
Well, then we have an argument, me and them. And then we have a fight, and then we have a war, and then it is what it is. That's how it is.
When somebody goes and rapes a woman here on campus, are they wrong?
Yes.
Why?
Because that is something you should not do.
Oh, so they should not do. Hold on a
should not
second.
do it.
You just did a should statement. You didn't do a should statement with the Taliban with little boys. What does should mean?
I mean-
What are you comparing should to?
Myself?
Are you?
Yes.
So it's your morality that
Yes.
triumphs over any objective laws.
I mean, not technically. I mean, at the end of the day, I can do whatever I want. I mean, I'll end up in jail. I'll end up, wherever I end up. But, it's whatever world you live in.
Is that the way we should design society? Everyone does what's ever right in their own eyes?
I mean, no, because it would be kind of chaos at the end of the day.
I agree. So then what standard should we then derive morality from other than opinion?
I mean, there's a lot of standards across the world. I mean, wherever you go, there's different life standards. I mean, the life standards we have here versus South America, Asia,
I
Africa,
agree.
it's all completely different.
Are some better than others?
I'm not done. Are some better than others? I mean, it comes down to where you're from. I think, wait, let me finish. I think the standard we have here in America is one of the best ones.
But now you're using different words. Should, best, so some things are better than others. And then the question is, what is the ultimate good? You're climbing the ladder, you're getting closer.
It comes down to you.
Does it?
Yes, it does. What is the ultimate good? It's my world. You know, I live in my own world with my things. What I think is good is what I think is good.
You don't understand that's one of the most narcissistic things.
Yes, it is. I'm a narcissist. So what? So what?
What if everyone acted the way you just articulated? What would that world look like?
I have no idea. I don't even want to know. I don't even want to know.
So you probably agree that's a terrible world to live in.
Yes, it would be, but thank God not everybody's like me.
This kid has no real standards or values. Who raised him? They need to be questioned because whatever it is they taught him is just outright wrong. And if we have people like them out there spreading such false beliefs, then they need to be stopped.
Like close to being a fascist, and then like.
Okay. How am I?
Sorry.
Let's go through this. How am I a fascist?
Dude, like you.
Can you name one thing I believe that's fascist?
You believe that like. You on. But
I'm such a bad fascist. I let the people who disagree in open mic to talk to me for 2 hours uninterrupted.
Okay.
I'm an awful fascist. I'm more like a free speech liberal of the 1970s, not a fascist.
But I just want to say Turning Point USA is a evil company that was funded by thousands of fracking companies, and that just...
No, it's not thousands, but we do have some frackers that give us money. But
and then all it is making the rich more rich.
Fascism to fracking.
That's all it is. That's all it is.
Okay, again, I'm happy to have a debate. I can see you're getting kind of fired up.
I'm sorry.
So, but why are we evil? Like we're having a nice discussion.
Because
all of a sudden you're calling me like
because
a fascist.
it seems like you just want the rich get even more rich. Like
we haven't talked about the rich at all. I mean, so you don't even know my positions on this stuff at all. And by the way,
Dude,
just so we're clear, the wealthiest counties in the country all vote for Democrats. You know that, right? 8 out of 10 of the wealthiest counties in the country vote for Democrats. The wealthiest people, absent Elon Musk, are all on the left. Jeff Bezos, George Soros, Mark Benioff, Mark
Elon Musk
Zuckerberg,
on the
Laurene
left?
Powell Jobs. On the left, yes. The richer you are, the more likely you are to be a Democrat and on the left.
Explain that to me, please.
The numbers speak for itself. The Democrats are the party of the oligarchy. Can you name one tech CEO outside of Elon Musk that is a conservative?
I personally think. Let me think. Peter Thiel.
Yeah, that's one. That's one. Larry Page, Google, on the left, worth $120 billion. Sergey Brin, Google, $130 billion on the left. Laurene Powell Jobs, Mackenzie Bezos, Jeff Bezos.
If they're on the left, what has they done that was like quote unquote to do the left stuff?
Well, okay, so Larry Page gives money to left-wing NGOs all the time.
Like, if you're on the left, I don't think you will ever be this rich.
Well, they are. You know why? Because the left
they're not.
No,
because they're not.
The left is a scam. The left uses
How is this?
Let me tell you why. It's a good question, actually. The left uses people like you that think that, oh, we're going to fight the rich. Well, they protect their oligarchy. While you guys have to keep on working hard and never own anything, when we conservatives are the ones that actually want to restore the American middle class and bring jobs back to this country.
How would you restore?
Let me finish. The left uses people like you every day, and they use people on you by the trans thing, the abortion thing. Keep voting for us because the fascists are going to take your rights away. When who's funding the left? The richest people. George Soros. Do you know who George Soros is?
Who is funding? Dude, I have never seen a leftist organization come to campus spreading their propagandas.
Because the whole university is a leftist organization spreading propaganda.
It's liberal.
He is completely failing out there because everything he has ever been told to be true was just proven to be a lie in less than 10 seconds, and he can't handle it. It's funny how quick they break because they never truly had any grounds to stand on.
What is the ideology for?
What do you mean?
Isn't the ideology to stop reproduction?
To me, antinatalism would be Yeah, like an ideology that it
well,
is better
then
to.
abortion stops reproduction.
But it's not an ideological thing.
Oh,
Like,
it's
better to have fewer children.
Of course it is. Of course it's an ideological thing.
No, I think that the people who are fighting for abortion rights are not fighting for it because we should curtail reproduction. I think it's because whether you agree with this or not,
because they don't want the
women will die.
responsibility of children.
No, because women will die. They'll get unsafe abortions.
There's very few women who have to deal with a pregnancy which is life-threatening. Very few.
That is not true. I do not think that's true.
The majority of abortions are not done due to life-threatening pregnancies.
I can agree with you that the majority
Well, that's
of
what I
abortions
meant.
aren't. But
I'm sorry.
Sure.
So, but even then, the majority of pregnancies, no, are not life-threatening. Just
Not
so you know.
life-threatening, but-
But also on the abortion front, no, very few abortions have anything to do with the mother saving the mother's life. Almost none, in fact.
Yeah,
they're
but
the exception to the rule.
I'm saying the people who are promoting, arguing for it, these feminist think tanks are not.
They want it up to 9 months.
They're not coming at it with the ideology.
What else could they be coming at it with if they
Women's
want an abortion
healthcare.
at 9 months? That's not health care.
Autonomy, the right to choose, things along
That's
those lines.
all
Feminism,
but that's what
things.
antinatalism, the ideology, is about. It's about
autonomy
It's
and
about
women's right to
reducing the
choose.
burden on women and on society from other human beings. It's a reduction of the burden. It requires necessarily that you reduce the population. Of course, abortion's antinatalist. Of course, the pill is antinatalist. All of these things are antinatalism. There's no, I don't know how you would argue.
I mean,
that.
maybe that's just my misunderstanding of what antinatalism is.
Yeah.
Just one question on the abortion topic.
Yeah.
Do you think that is there a cutoff for you in terms of when women can get abortion? Should it be up until the point of right up until birth, or what's your position there?
No, I would say the cutoff for me would be at the point where
viability
delivering is an option.
Okay.
If there is a, for instance, if there was a medical emergency, preeclampsia, something like that, if the child can actually be delivered, I would say in that case that you should default to delivery. But there are children.
But would
who are
you consider it murder if you didn't?
No.
No. Well, then why? So then what's? I don't understand this. Maybe you can help me out with this.
Yeah.
Why is it, other than just, I don't know, some preference for ick, that if I ask you if the law says they can get an abortion at 7 months, you say, no, I prefer that they have it then. I go, okay, but let's assume the law says that they don't have to. Do you consider that murder? You say no. How is that not?
I think that murder is the taking of the life of a person, and I really don't think you have personhood until after birth.
Even at 9 months?
Yeah, I mean, I would say
Do you have
that
to go through the canal? Like, what if what if your head doesn't quite crown and they just put a shotgun up there? Like, is that
I would
not
I would
murder?
not like to see that happen. No, I think once their head is out of the canal, yes.
Okay, but
you're
it's
a
not
person.
quite there, right? It's going. She's, ooh,
I
they're
mean,
about to do a push, and he walks in and he just blasts.
But
That's not murder. I'm honest. I want to question. That's not murder.
I think in that case, you'd probably end up killing the woman too. But
No, it's a concentrated blast.
No, I think that would be murder.
That would be murder, but not the day before.
This woman's ideology is just pathological. She just wants to have sex without bearing any of the consequences and responsibilities.
Who's physically stronger, men or women?
Technically men.
What do you mean
Physically
technically men?
Men. Because so there are certain instances where, let's say you have a male. Males are born on average 35% more muscle mass than females straight out of the womb. That's just science. That's a fact, right?
Well, actually, hold on. Before puberty, I think there's actually, and I actually might be wrong on this, but my understanding is actually before puberty, I think it's pretty equal between boys and girls. Before puberty. I could be wrong. I'm not an expert.
There's still a muscle mass percentage difference in
Am I wrong,
the BMI.
Chad? I could be wrong.
Let's look it up.
I
thought there wasn't a huge difference.
It's not until puberty, because that's when puberty starts. That's when testosterone starts to heighten, and then
there's still a
we develop
difference
muscle.
straight out of the womb, though.
Of course, she isn't straightforward with her answers. There's nothing like technicality in the face of facts. Men are physically stronger, and none of her explanations make any sense.
Saying that marriage is two people staying together under threat of a lawsuit from the other?
No. I'm saying two people stand together out of love and commitment to one another, and they have all of these qualities and benefits even through the government of being married. And they have their name legally changed. Like my wife is legally, her last name is Tatum. She is a Tatum. It's not hypothetical. It's not like she put a hyphen on it. She is by law legally. Her driver's license, her passport says Tatum. She's officially a part of my family.
Right.
Officially.
But here's the thing: there are women who will go through all those steps. They'll change their last name.
Mm-hmm.
There's the marriage certificate, etc., and divorce still happens. So. Here's the thing. I feel like most people, when they get married, hold on.
Alvin Sam donated $99. I'll simplify it. Marriage is designed for traditional breadwinners and not working partners. But the reality is that both parties must be financially independent. So that defeats the purpose of marriage. Marriage is outdated. Abolish it.
It's a business now.
I don't
my
think
whole
it's a
thing. I mean,
business.
you're a businessman, right? You have a very successful YouTube channel. You're a content creator, and I'm sure, I've been doing content creation for 10 years. When you're in the content creation space, you do sponsorships. You're negotiating various contracts. Maybe you have people that work for you. So I'm sure you have to some degree, and maybe you have an attorney, but. I feel like we start getting a little adept when it comes to, you've reviewed contracts and stuff. And I mean, as a businessman, you never sign a contract with someone who's rewarded for breaking it. And I feel like in today's day and age, women are rewarded when they break the marriage contract financially.
That's what we're told. It's not just about money. If my wife were to leave me, it's more than money. She'll get some. She has. You got to think.
You're a Giga Chad. Brandon, you're a Giga Chad.
But no, she'll get 50%. Right now, she has 100%. That's a big difference.
Sure.
She has 100% right now. She get anything she wants. Anything I have is hers. All of it, 100%. She leaves, she only get 50%, and then she lose the connection. She lose the protection. Who do you think keep her safe? Who do you think makes sure she got a roof over her head?
This guy right here.
Who do you think is making sure that they got food? She ain't got to worry about nothing. And I know that it's not everybody, but ain't nobody gonna leave that. That's a net negative for her to leave me just to get money. It's not all about the money.
But would you also acknowledge that in today's day and age, with the economy as it is, most couples, they're probably not in the same situation as you. You're obviously incredibly successful. I would say, though, isn't it the case for most people, they need to rely on two incomes, right? So
I think that most people decide to live that way. I don't think they have to. I think people want to have two cars and they want to have all the expensive stuff.
Lifestyle creep type stuff?
Yeah, I think that lifestyle, you can make your lifestyle conducive for the woman to stay at home and the man to go to work. Hey, brother, get out there and work 2 jobs. Maybe work a night shift.
Yeah.
Bring home the money and the wife take care of the kids. Y'all don't have kids. It's okay for both of y'all to work if that's what you want.
Sure.
But people cannot make the excuse to say, we just can't do it because of the modern economy. You can make it happen if you live within your means. And I think if that's what you want, you could do it.
Gotcha. We're going to move off of marriage here really quick and try to get into some other topics. I have a couple chats here that we're going to get through.
One guy's convinced women are just in it for the money, while the other dude argues that a wife has access to all his resources while married. It's like a financial tug of war. Honestly, this conversation sounds like a game of who's got the better deal. At the end of the day, can't we agree that women should build relationships should based on love, not ledgers?
Do you feel proud of yourself for debating college kids who are unprepared to speak in front of an audience like yourself? Hold on. You're 30 years old. We can agree you're 30 years old, right? Do you think that's a little bit silly?
Are you a voter?
I am a voter. I'm a registered voter.
I vote and you vote. So I'm talking to voters of this country that will determine the future of Western civilization. That's what I'm voting here for. Yeah? Wait, hold on. How is it any different than a professor talking to you?
Then a professor talking to you? Who are you?
Well, important enough for you to come up to a microphone.
Actually, when I first saw this ad, I thought it was like an improv comedy thing. It looked so ridiculous that I didn't even think it was real.
Well, no, you could see. Look how popular Trump is on your campus. How does that make you feel? That's not comedy. That is a 5-alarm fire for Kamala Harris because she's probably going to lose Pennsylvania.
Look.
But no, I just want to be clear. Is there something wrong with talking to voters?
No, there's nothing wrong with talking.
Well, that's
to
what we're
voters.
doing here today. It's an open
I
mic.
think that you push a dangerous agenda.
Such as?
Your stance on abortion rights, for example.
Okay, so
So let me ask a question. What is your name?
Jean.
Jean. And what is your understanding of the current Republican Party's stance on federal intervention in abortion?
Well, I know that they want to bring it back to the states, right?
So it sounds like you do know that the Republican Party's current stance on abortion is they're against a federal ban on abortion.
I do
And
understand
we're talking about
that,
a
yes.
presidential election as the
Yes.
important election that we're talking about here.
I understand that, yes.
Great. So again, I think this open dialogue is great. I think it's great you're here challenging Charlie, and I think it's great that he's willing to travel campuses across this country to talk to the next generation. We need more conversation. Now, where's the disagreement, though, on content? Because you could criticize style or why you're talking to people
Listen,
or dunk on someone personally, but where do you actually disagree with
I
the
agree
substance?
with the way that you edit content and specifically frame it so that people look bad talking to you. The way that you edit your content.
we post unedited content.
Let me just ask you one thing though, because personal insults can fly in all directions. Where is an area where you have a disagreement with the conservative movement, with Donald Trump, with Charlie Kirk, perhaps with myself? I was a presidential candidate last year. I think we need to talk about that more in the open, and the more we do, the stronger our country is going to be. We got a long line of people, but I want to hear from you one substantive area where you have an authentic disagreement, and I'd be glad to address it. I'm sure Charlie would too.
Just in
anything,
political
relating to any political topic where you have a disagreement. Let's air it.
Okay. I disagree with some of the laws that are being pushed in Congress that are against the LGBTQ community and the trans community.
Okay, so let's talk about that. I'm going to give you my view, and then I want to hear yours.
Okay.
My view is that if you're a fully grown adult, 18 or above, you're free to live how you want, dress how you want, marry who you want if you want, if you're
Okay.
over the age of 18.
I agree.
But you are not free to indoctrinate children in schools who are not yet of the age of consent. You are not free, just as you're a 17-year-old or a 15-year-old can't get a tattoo on their own, I don't think that you should be able to go or until the age of 18. And so the lines that I draw here is that men are free to claim to be women and swim in swimming pools. You're not free to claim trophies in a women's sports competition. You're not free to enter a women's locker room. You're not free to change a language, and you're not free to actually indoctrinate our children who are under the age of 5 in schools. Do we agree on the fact that adults should be able to live freely while still treating children differently? If so, we're on the same side of this issue.
Listen, I agree with the majority of what you said. However, I don't think that you're understanding the implications of the laws that are trying to be passed.
Look, we got a head start in the conversation. We got a long line behind you. But my only ask is, forget the personal attacks or the stylistic attacks. Focus on substance. The more we debate that, the stronger we're going to be as a country. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
I don't think you're focusing on substance, though. That's the issue.
Hold on. Look, he intentionally tried to provoke substance out of you, and you said, well, I'm worried about some laws Congress should pass. I have to ask, what laws are you talking about? Can you be specific?
I'm sorry, I'm very nervous, but this is what you do. This is what you do. You take people and you put them under the spotlight, and you.
Well, hold on. I didn't ask you to come up here. You voluntarily came to the front of the line. You didn't have to do that.
You're purposely antagonizing people on campus, asking
How?
people to come up by spreading your weird agenda.
How? What agenda is that? I'm confused, though.
So, Charlie, I'll say this. We'll end on this and we'll go to the next question. When I was 18, and I'm not going to blame you for this, I also took for granted a lot of the stuff that the media force-fed me, because that's what you know at the age of 18. You say there are some vague laws making their way through Congress that are hostile to the trans community.
know how-
I don't think those
do you
laws
know
actually
about-
exist, but I don't blame you if
Listen to
that's
me.
what the cable media is feeding you. But let's get to the specifics, and then we're able to actually have an open dialogue. And that's one of the things I've learned over the last 20 years.
I think that the
And that's
issue
part
is
of-
we're getting our
part of
media
learning
from
our
different
country.
sources. Both people are getting media from these skewed sources. the facts that you're presenting are not always correct.
And that's why we're here with no TV screens between us. So people who have policy-based substantive disagreements, we invite those. I think that's how we're going to get our country back. And as it relates to trans, which you brought up, 18 or above, you're free to live how you want. You're not free to force that onto somebody else, or especially kids. And if we agree on that, we make some progress.
Charlie Kirk striking back hard. This girl thinks she can shame him for debating college kids, but he flips it right back at her. If she's old enough to vote, she's fair game, and what's the difference between him and a professor? Her logic just imploded, and when she goes off the rails, classic sign of losing the argument. Maybe next time she'll think twice before trying to throw shade at someone who knows how to bring the heat.
I first want to thank you for coming out. I've really enjoyed listening to you speak. I am against your personal beliefs and whatever. And I wanted to ask, because you're, talking about how we shouldn't trust the government, we shouldn't trust all these people, and I'm curious because I noticed in your speech, when you're speaking, you commit a lot of logical fallacies. And I can give you some examples such as composition, division, ad hominems, and, many, many others. And I learned about these in my rhetoric class because my class, which was very, very Republican driven, wanted us to be good arguers, so that way we could...
Do you mind getting to the question, because we have a lot of people that are waiting?
Yeah, of
Go
course,
ahead.
no problem.
Thank you.
I just want to say, why should we trust you? What's the point if you're going to commit all these fallacies? Why should we believe in you specifically?
Okay, well, if you think that anything that I have said today, just try to stick to the facts and don't focus too much on what you perceive to be logical fallacies. Just go look up Margaret Sanger, go look up Lyndon Baines Johnson, go look up the things that I'm telling you, and let me tell you that if you look that up and what you find out is that I completely lied today, then you shouldn't trust me. The reason why I'm standing up here is because I'm confident that I am sharing with people the truth. And the reason why I'm still up here, by the way, despite the fact that the entire media, an entire Democratic establishment, an entire BLM nation that was built overnight has been against me. The reason why my audience continues to grow is because when you are for truth and you are for God, who can be against you? You're going to win.
You just gotta love woke students. They go into class, learn a bunch of big words, ask AI how they can use these words in a sentence, and the next thing you know, they are everywhere repeating these same words to sound smart, like they are making a point.
Babel, who should pay on the first date? Can you tilt the microphone down just a tad?
If it's an actual date, it's the man.
A little more? Yeah. Okay, what about you?
The man.
The man?
I think it depends on who asked the person on the date. So, if I asked my boyfriend on a date.
Well, so first date.
Oh.
This is for first date.
Or even your boyfriend? You would pay with your boyfriend? Wow.
Or say if I initiated the first date, then I feel like I should pay.
Okay. Well, with your boyfriend, when you guys go on dates, you've been dating for 3 years, do you guys kind of, is it 50-50 or how's it with your boyfriend?
I mean, he usually initiates to pay, but I try to pay and help. Not
what do you mean
just
you try?
Or because he doesn't let me, so.
Okay, so overwhelmingly for dates and stuff, he'll pay?
Yeah.
Okay. And then before you met him, if you were going on first dates, what was your experience there?
He'll usually pay.
The guy will pay. Because you said whoever asked should pay. For first dates, have you ever asked a guy out?
No.
Interesting. Okay. What about you? Who should pay on the first date?
So she's correct. That's the typical etiquette rule is whoever asked is the payer.
Uh-huh.
For me in my romantic life, I like generous men, as we've talked about ad nauseum, so I would not be attracted to a guy who wanted me to pay.
Has it been ad nauseum?
Not yet.
I don't know if it's been ad nauseum yet. Okay. What about you?
I think the guy, but
yeah.
I honestly don't mind. I wouldn't go 50-50 with the bill. I would rather pay the full amount, or he pay the full amount. You know what I mean?
Okay.
But
sure.
yeah.
Yeah, typically I think usually the guy should pay for the first date, but then I feel like after you guys been dating for a while, then usually in my past experience I would take turns. If I'm paying for dinner, then he would pay for dessert.
Well, you were in a relationship for 3 years, right? So was that the case in your 3-year relationship?
Mike Davis donated $300.
Yeah, thank you, Mike
What's
Davis.
Up, Kirk? Panel epitomizes modern culture, where a pack of nobody girls can be on the same panel as a man of stature like Charlie. You have a lifetime free pass at BK. Keep
Burger
America
King.
great.
He owns 100.
Does he really?
That's him. Mike Davis. He's a longtime supporter.
Are you serious?
That's Mike Davis. He owns.
I want to meet him. That's cool.
We'll arrange it. He owns like hundreds of Burger King.
He could be nicer, but I would like to meet him.
Yeah, he's a little sassy. He's a little sassy, but thank you, Mike Davis.
He could be a sweeter person.
Wait, so going back to you with your relationship, what was the dynamic there?
Definitely when we first started dating, he would pay for a lot more because
Okay.
he had like a source of income.
Okay.
And then the longer that like we started dating, it definitely went more 50-50. But
Sure.
also it kind of depended, like if I wanted to go somewhere more expensive, but he like didn't want to eat there, then I would pay because I want to go there.
What about you?
I'm like 50-50, like it doesn't really matter. But like on first date, I feel like it would be good if a guy could pay to a good impression, like gentlemen. But when it comes to like further down the track, like it doesn't really matter.
All right.
I think it should be 50-50 regardless of who asked.
Okay. What about you?
I think the guy should pay. I think it shows that they have more of a provider mindset.
All right. I do want to get some follow-up a little bit on the clip. We'll come back to it momentarily. Charlie, who should pay on
the men
first?
should always pay regardless of what date it is. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, no matter. Men should always pay. No questions asked. Even if you have to go into debt, borrow money, it's a complete humiliation or embarrassment to have a woman pay for a date.
All right. There you go.
Do you agree?
Absolutely.
We agree. Yes,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I think it's the downfall of a lot of things in society where we're asking women to pay for meals. You should look yourself in the mirror and figure it out. And if you want to court a woman, regardless if by the way, women shouldn't be asking men on dates.
Charlie is totally right. Having a woman pay for you is just embarrassing and disgraceful and just shows how weak you are.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to start with a question for each of the 5 witnesses. In your judgment, are voter ID laws racist? Professor Tolson.
Thank you for that question. So it depends. One thing we have to stop doing is treating all voter ID laws as the same.
Okay, so your answer, I want to move quickly, so it depends is your answer?
Yes, that's my answer.
Okay, so what voter ID laws are racist?
Apologies, Mr. Cruz, your state of Texas, perhaps?
Okay, so you think the entire state of Texas is racist. What about requiring an ID to vote is racist?
So I think, sir, that's pretty reductive. I'm not saying the entire state of Texas is racist.
You just said my state of Texas, so you tell me,
Your
what
voter
about
ID
the Texas voter ID laws is
absolutely.
racist?
So the fact that the voter ID law was put into place to diminish the political power of Latinos with racist intent and had been found to have
You're
racist
asserting that.
intent,
What's your evidence for that?
the federal district court that first resolved the constitutionality of Texas's voter ID law.
Okay, so your view is voter ID laws are racist. How about you, Mr. Yang?
I agree with Professor Tolson. Voter ID laws can be racist.
Okay, that's
other
2.
context.
Mr. Science?
There are some voter ID laws that are racially discriminatory in intent.
How about in practice? In intent, fine, you say there's some racist with a malevolent intent lurking in the back of their mind. But let's just talk about it as a practical matter. When I go to vote, they ask me for my ID. I pull out my ID, I show it to them, I vote. Is that racist?
If the law that requires you to do that was motivated by racially discriminatory intent
What about the
under
effect?
our
Set aside
Constitution.
intent. Set aside intent. I'm asking about the effect.
Yes, in effect, I think that
Ms.
there are
Reardon.
discriminatory effects from a number of voter ID laws.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Reardon.
I'm going to give the witness a chance to answer the question. Go ahead, Mr. Sine.
Yes, in effects, I think many voter ID laws are discriminatory. And in design, they are designed to have that effect.
Okay, Ms. Reardon.
No, sir.
Mr. Van Spakovsky.
No, particularly because every single state that has passed an ID law has put in a provision to provide a free ID to anyone who doesn't have one. The turnout numbers show it has no effect, and I would remind everyone that the current version of the Texas voter ID law for in-person voting, the Obama administration agreed in court, in a court filing, that they were satisfied with it and that it was not discriminatory.
Maintained to this committee that voter ID laws can be, in many instances, in most instances, I think of the various ways they formulated, are racist. So let me tell you who disagrees with that. 35 states across the country disagree with that because 35 states have voter ID laws in effect. But not just 35 states. 81% of voters in America disagree with the radical views proposed by the Democrats and the Democratic witnesses. Not just 81% of Americans. 77% of black voters in America support voter ID laws. 78% of Hispanic voters in America support voter ID laws. MALDEF should think about that. 81% of low-income Americans support voter ID laws. And yet, what this bill is about is putting radicals in charge of saying if you require an ID to vote, that is racist and must be struck down. This is all about partisan power. Now,
they are quick to jump right to racist without a second thought, but when he asks for evidence in practice, it's all silent in court. It's amazing how quick people are to shout discrimination but then fumble when it comes to actual facts. Maybe next time they should prepare some solid arguments instead of just relying on buzzwords.
We know about this population, 18 through 24. They are. That is why we put them in dormitories, and they have a resident assistant. They make really bad decisions.
Kamala Harris just dropping the truth bomb on youth decisions, calling them stupid and explaining why they're tucked away in dorms with RAs? Now that's some real talk. Guess when you have to babysit your own generation, it's hard to argue with the logic.
Unless you're talking about cases of sexual assault, a woman has given consent to get pregnant because she has chosen to engage in a behavior that could result in pregnancy. She may not want to get pregnant, but she knowingly entered into a decision knowing that a consequence of that decision could be the creation of a unique, whole, living human life. So that's actually, when we're talking about that, it's actually like her giving consent and then taking it away and saying, oh, no, just kidding, I'm not going to do that. So I think it's fundamentally different than you or me, like strangers, and what we're morally required to do. I would say that's fundamentally different. I think it would be a very nice thing if you were kidnapped and you gave up 9 months of your life to save another human life. I'm looking at some people in this room, you look like very nice people, you may do it, and some of you don't look so nice, and you'd say, sorry, I like you, stranger, but I'm not giving up 9 months of my life. But that's a fundamentally different relationship than a mother and her own child, because she is already, unless it's, like I said, unless it's a case of sexual assault, she has given consent and has engaged in a behavior. It's also different too, simply unplugging than actively killing. And I think that's a difference too. Because in that case, you would be actively just unplug, you would remove your support. And abortion, that child is safe, that child is secure, it is growing inside of his or her mother, and you're not just removing your support, you're actively going in with a suction device, with a curette, you're going in with pills to starve, you are going in to intentionally end the life of the human being. It's different.
So also by that standard of like when a woman engages in sexual activity in like a heterosexual relationship, and it's she's like you said, like revoking consent in that aspect, would it then be considered pregnancy as like can be considered like a punishment by that standard? Just like
she may call it punishment. I believe Barack Obama called unintended pregnancy a punishment for his daughters at one point. I would say it's not a punishment because, as I talked about earlier, women are superheroes because we can do 3 things men can't do. Pregnancy is not a punishment. There's punishments and things that happen, consequences, but I would say it's never a punishment, bringing a unique, whole, living human life into an existence.
It's wild how some people think calling pregnancy a punishment is a valid argument. Really? Bearing babies is a gift, not a crime. This pro-choice girl needs a reality check. She's out here treating life like a hassle instead of a miracle. Props to Kristen for reminding her that the choice to create life is one of the greatest gifts.
What's your opinion on puberty blockers, for instance, for people who have not reached puberty yet? Should we administer it or not?
Well, this is something they'd asked for. This is not something I know too much about.
Okay, so puberty blockers just prevent people from going through puberty. It delays puberty, basically. And there's been studies linked to the use of puberty blockers and osteoporosis, a bone disease.
I think I can see why. It's the transition. I mean, I guess that's the risk you take, but, we should still administer it.
Do you think we should advise maybe young kids that might not always be the best decision?
I think we should tell them you might experience side effects, but go for it.
Do you think at 8 years old they're capable enough to comprehend those risks?
Perhaps. I think that depends on each individual, but I'd say so.
So do you think maybe the ban on conversion therapy could provide some exceptions in some instances, at least?
Well, banning conversion therapy at all is good, no matter what.
But conversion therapy includes that, questioning people, making them sure that they fully understand what the risks are associated with taking puberty blockers, for instance.
Well, the concept of conversion therapy is okay, but the way it's done, it's not helping people, it's brainwashing them to be a certain way.
I think it's brainwashing.
I'm not sure if you know, but many survivors testify how they've been raped.
Why did she give him the microphone when he clearly stated in the beginning that he doesn't know much about it? He should have just gone no comment and walked away instead of showing how dumb he is.
I don't agree that there's any kind of murder in the
Does it end the life of a human being?
It ends the life of cells. It does not end the life of a Yeah, okay, so you're a clump of cells that has been developed over time, but once you leave the vagina, then you're a conscious human.
So you're
But
okay
before
with
that-
abortion. So if I'm pregnant, I'm 9 months pregnant, my husband leaves me, I lose my job, and I say, I can't have this baby right now. You're okay at 9 months before the baby leaves my vagina, the abortionist goes in, induces a heart attack, and kills that baby. You have seen nothing like that.
Personally, I cannot speak to every pro-choice person, but personally, 9 months is late enough. However, I still believe,
Why is abortion to you wrong at 9 months? Why are you personally against
because
abortion at 9 months?
the fetus is about to come out of the vagina, and it's going to become an actual human. It's like almost fully formed. Almost.
Okay, first of all, we know a child is fully formed way before 9 months, because have you ever seen a child who's born premature at 25 weeks? They're not malformed, right?
Sometimes they are. Sometimes they have missing limbs. And
Well, that's genetic.
Yeah. Okay.
But when I had the ultrasound of my child, my 4D ultrasound of my daughter, I wanted to get pictures of what she looked like at 25 weeks. She was fully formed inside of my womb. She didn't just there's not a magical thing in the birth canal. You're like, oh, now as a human being. That's location. Your humanity can't depend on your location. 2 inches of the birth canal doesn't change you don't magically become a human being because you pass through a woman's birth canal. Because guess what? 2 of my kids never passed through my birth canal. I delivered C-section. Were they not human beings?
Kristen Hawkins coming in hot and schooling this pro-choice girl, thinking a baby only becomes human once it's made its grand entrance through the birth canal. That's a bold take. It's like saying a cake isn't really a cake until you cut it. Newsflash, human development starts long before the big day. Gotta love how some people are trying to rewrite biology to fit their narrative. Nice try, but science isn't on your side. Which liberal getting owned was your absolute favorite, and which wokey got you kicking up your feet in laughter? Let us know in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe so you can keep enjoying this train wreck.